There is a line in Matthew's Gospel, to be precise, it's chapter 25, verse 35. I was hungry and you fed me. And that brings me, of course, straight to the Belfast Domestic Mission and our relationship with Paul and the People's Kitchen. The Belfast Domestic Mission is older than this very building, and it was inspired by the good members of our previous church, Second Congregation on Rosemary Street, which is well and truly gone many years ago. First Congregation still sit there. Ours is a long demolished building. Indeed, yesterday, when I was visiting Freddie Moneypenny, who was celebrating his 90th birthday in Willow Tree Lodge in Jordanstown, Freddie reminded me that the mission did have a premises on Stanhope Street many years ago. Indeed, Morris, who was Freddie's brother, was visiting Freddie yesterday. Morris, who's a young 93, was visiting his brother of 90 to wish him a happy birthday. And Morris told me he remembers attending events in the premises on Stanhope Street. The mission was inspired by the following values: the advancement of religion, education, and need, to meet for public worship of God in the Spirit of Jesus, but also to preach and to learn in the free-thinking nature of non-subscription. Most people know in most churches you subscribe to rules, structure, and creeds, and theological understanding as preached by the clergy in that church. That is the way with most faith organizations. But we are different because we call ourselves non-subscribers, free thinkers. So we don't subscribe to any defined creedal position. Reason I'm telling you that must have made it very difficult to teach religion. You were mostly teaching them what we don't agree with. But to provide education for those at that time was important, because it was difficult to obtain a basic education many years ago. People forget that free education began in the United Kingdom under the Elementary Education Act of 1870. And although fees for elementary schools were not abolished until 1918, and in 1944, the Education Act made all secondary education free, but of course this wasn't implemented until after the Second World War. So when you look at it, it's only in recent history that education was available to all. So it's hard to imagine for many children, how do they ever get a basic education? It fell to voluntary organizations, including churches, to provide that education. And such was the role of the church missions, including the Belfast Domestic Mission. Sometimes it's forgotten that Michael Davitt, the Irish patriot and founder of the Land League, was educated in the north of England originally by the Methodist Domestic Mission. Thankfully, that's not the case today, as education is available to all, still under certain circumstances. And finally, to address poverty and need in our community, social solidarity is the sense of unity connecting us, irrespective of our diversity, that no matter who, what we are, that we can be united in one thing, and that is social solidarity in our beloved city of Belfast. Our differences should not allow us to lack interdependence on each other. And Paul has given created an incredible image of the work that's done by the People's Kitchen. In the past, the Belfast Domestic Mission as I said, had its own premises on Stanhope Street, as I learned from the Moneypennies. And indeed, it had a small congregation. It was a separate congregation from All Souls. And indeed, today I stand not only as the minister for All Souls, but also the minister to the Belfast Domestic Mission. And it was built essentially to respond to poverty that some people experienced in Belfast. And this was at a time before we had social welfare, before the NHS, and when people were even more vulnerable than they are today. And as Paul has pointed out, that vulnerability persists, and indeed, sadly and tragically, more people are joining the ranks of those in need. Still, we have many within our community that live on the margins and need our support. And that's not the way our city should be. The People's Kitchen is the correct partner for us here in All Souls, who work through our charitable giving through the Belfast Domestic Mission. And that's why today we will have a returning collection. I would suggest, in actual fact, what we would do is, when you're getting your tea and buns this morning, put a few bob in the little red box down there that can go to finance the good work of the Belfast Domestic Mission. It is important that we respond, as well as being a place of worship, as well as being a place of growing faith, all of us on a journey together. It's always important that we look to the needs of our fellow citizens, to show a sense of solidarity, of oneness within our city. And it seems logical then that we join in partnership with the People's Kitchen. And as I began this sermon by saying, I was hungry and you fed me, in the words of Matthew, that's the best response we can make. Amen.